This is Billy Kay with the first of 2 programmes on Scots sang, Sangsters, programme 1 o all the airts. Tell me who you are and where you come from.
I'm Iona Fyfe and I come from Huntly.
I'm Christy Scott and I'm from Buckie.
I'm from Stranraer originally. I think that the Stranraer accent is quite unique because of its proximity to Ireland.
What's your name for the dialect?
Gallowa Irish.
My mother's side of the family come from a couple of different airts really. My mother's mother came from up around Tarland and Migvie, Logie Coldstone and Deeside. My great-great-grandfather come down to Montrose and eventually made their way down to Arbroath. My grandfather on my mother's side was a hike, Teary. You couldn't get much better of a kind of Scots language duality of a background there.
Steve Byrne for Arbroath, Robyn Stapleton for Stranraer, Christy Scott for Buckie, Iona Fyfe for Huntly. And you'll hear a wheen more sangsters for all the airts the wind can blow over the next 12 weeks. Being an Ayrshireman though, I dearly like the West. John Morran.
I come from Muirkirk in Ayrshire, which is on the border with Lanarkshire. Glenbuck used to be the village that would have been right next door to Lanarkshire, but Glenbuck's named Ayr. So Muirkirk is the last village in Ayrshire.
It always minds me of when I go to Muirkirk. I always think a Sunset Song and it's out of the world and into Blaweary. And Muirkirk's a wee bit like that.
Oh, it is. I think Bill Shankly said about Glenbuck that during winter you might as well have been in outer Mongolia.
And what is it?
It's an ex-mining village.
And growing up there, what was the language you used?
Oh, we spoke Scots. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, we spoke Scots. I mean, I never kent the word red till I went to Skill. It was red. I mean, it's even you ken. It's Scots. It's nothing but Scots.
And I mind the pleasure I got the first time I saw John perform when he both spoke and sung Byrne songs like this one in Nocht but Scots.
Helen of Kirkconnell, I did it for the Byrne series and I was asked to sing it, and the first thing that came to mind was that whenever I'd heard the song afore, Kirkconnell was Kirkconnell. And to me, you know, there's a Kirkconnell near Sanker and Keller Rovers, the junior football teams for Kirkconnell, and my father was involved in junior football in Ayrshire with Glenafton and Newcumnock. It's Kirkconnell, I'm a what of Kirkconnell, it was never Kirkconnell. So I just wanted to sing Kirkconnell because to me that's what it was.
I wish my grave was ground green, winding sheet to my in, and I in Helen's arms, lean and feel Kirkconnell. I wish I were Helen was, night and day, and me she cries. Tower, Helen lies and fear Kirkconnell.
For a wheen year now, John's been idently collecting local poems and songs for his home village.
I refer to it as praise songs. Like Muirkirk's a great place and we Muirkirk, abune them all the rest, Muirkirk's the greatest place that I rest. That's
so it is.
Right? Thomas Flood, he wrote a poem and he kicks it off, and it's when God made our planet and said it was good, there still was some globber he hadn't got rid. A long while he pondered and he said with a smirk, I'll make a bit village and I'll call it Muirkirk. So there's a lot of that.
Say God created Muirkirk.
So that's it. There's clearly a lot of that goes on, but there's some real gems. One of the songs that I looked at came from Jimmy Taylor's book, Cairntable Rhymes, which in actual fact was a collection of songs of Thomas Floyd from Woodside in Muirkirk. And he wrote a song called The Bonny Lass of Wellwood Hall, and Wellwood is an area in Muirkirk. There used to be a big house there. Thomas Flood made a poem about it, about a lassie that he meets, probably a servant at the Wellwood Hall. I put music to it and we recorded it originally with Def Shepherd.
In noodle bliss and we mun pairt, when love and langing makes me fain, clasp the lassie to my heart and fondly call her on my hand, and vow to her a solemn oath, or to her make half else before, to cherish love and get free skate, bonny lass,
It's a great line that.
and vow to her a solemn oath, with mecht hap her ills before, to cherish, love, and guard fi skaith, the bonny lass so well wed ho. Just that guard fi skaith, to keep her fi heart. It's a lovely, lovely line. It's great Scots.
When all King Saul sings in the west.
Thomas, he was an engine driver, so he worked in Muirkirk in the pits. I mean, mining was the main occupation in the village, so everything else was subservient to that, really. You would have skill teachers, and you would have postmasters, and you would have all sorts of tailors and jiners and whatnot, but most of the men were working down the pit or employed with the ironworks. Well, the collier's daughter was with George McMurdy, stayed on Waterside actually, near Dunmelton, but for a good 20 years he had stayed in Muirkirk, and he wrote quite a lot of stuff when he was stayed in Muirkirk. And one of them was the collier's daughter. Among the hills at auld Muirkirk, where grow the rushes green, there once a maiden dear to me, a blithesome peerless queen. Erect she has her heat red, with wreath so yellow hair. She's the collier's bonny daughter, on the banks o' the Ayr. She's the collier's bonny daughter, on the banks o' the Ayr. These guys that were writing in Muirkirk at the time, they would publish in the wee paper, it was cried, the Muirkirk Advertiser. You look at the papers and there was like operatic societies, there was like gardening societies, there was history societies, there was temperance societies, there was every sort of society you could possibly think of. And there were folk getting involved and being paired to it.
Why did you call it Garran Sang, your project?
The original name at Muirkirk was Garran.
And how many Garran Sangs have you got in the go now?
There's maybe about 14.
Do you think if somebody like yourself could go to ony airt in Scotland and find a similar wealth of potential sang and music there?
Absolutely no question. I mean, Steve Byrne would be an example of that with his Arbroath songs. I ken for a fact that if you went to Newcumnock, or you went to Cumnock, or you went to Mauchline, or Gosson, I'm sure too, you went to one of the places and dug about, you'd find just exactly the same thing, because the folk were the same.
John Morran. Another heartland of Scots sang, especially the muckle sangs or ballads, is the north-east hame of Christy Scott and Iona Fyfe, and we'll hear Iona's version of one of my own favourite ballads, Glen Logie. But first, I spiered who they'd both got started in the tradition.
My cousin took me to the TMSA festival in 2003 when I was 5-year-old, and all my family had something to do. They had accordion, box, fiddle, and my cousin did a poetry. And to be honest, it was just like a babysitting service. My mum just wanted rid of me for the day. I went along and I really enjoyed it. My auntie said, you're going to learn an Ian Middleton poem and you're going to compete it today. And I won it, and it was great, and it was a really lovely rush for a 5-year-old. And at the prize winners concert, I met singers, and they said, if you're going to do the Doric poetry, then you may as well just put melody to it and enter the Bothy ballads or enter the singing. And it was a really natural thing.
I'm just new to the tradition, and about 4 or 5 years ago, I ended up at just a Scots session in Fauchebers. Somebody got up and sang a song, and then I kind of started to think, all right, I would maybe be good at that. I had been singing for years anyway, and then slowly started to get into the tradition that way. But I've not been brought up by the TMSA like Iona, but kind of tried to make my own way since then. So.
And what was it about the sang that night that attracted to you?
The kind of public totally hangs on every word. Once you've had a few drinks and somebody gets up and sings something that puts a stop to everybody else's conversation, and they tune in and abdies together, it's pretty amazing.
There were 99 nobles, Rotrin, Bancree, Fair, and Bonnie Glen Logie was the pride of them there. There were sacks and sacks maidens stand in the king's hall. Bonnie Jeannie O'Felny was the floor o' them all. Doon cam Jeannie Meldrum.
Whenever I'm learning or arranging a new song, I think it's really important to learn it how you would do it in a ballad competition, and then take it in how you would do it with a band.
And can you do that, and can it still have the pouer of the original song?
Absolutely. 5 years ago, I would have never told you that.
Right.
But now I definitely would. Only if you have mastered it in a way that you would feel comfortable standing in front of judges, standing in front of everyone in the folk song scene in Scotland, only then can you go and innovate upon it. A really good example would be Glen Logie. On the album, I've completely changed the melody. I've put the ballad melody to Anarchy Gordon back to Glen Logie, which is something that back then I really actually do. And although I could go into a ballad competition and I have 2 melodies to choose from, I might actually go with my one because I feel confident with it. So what the normal aim would be this. There were 9 nobles, Redrin Bancree fair, and bonny Glen Logie was a flute o' them there. There were Saxons, maidens, dined in the king's hall. Bonny Jeannie o' Bethelny was a flute o' them all. And if I was going to do it in my own, it'd be there were 9 nobles, Rodrin Bancree fair, and bonny Glen Logie was a flute o' them there. There were Saxons, maidens, dined in the king's hall. Bonny Jeannie o' Bethelny was a flute o' them all.
Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. The version that I came to that was for Dick Gaughan. He used to sing that, and lines in it, there's one about the Gordons, but he's turned him round lichly like the Gordons does aw. I thank ye, Jeannie Gordon, but I'm promised a whaur. Were you aware of that through your family growing up, that you were surrounded by names of ballads?
I didn't realise how important it was until I moved away.
Aye.
The castle is just beautiful. It's really, really bonny, and it's so crazy that so many of these ballads like Ida McGordon or Bernarach and Doon and all that, so many just in your doorstep, really.
Right.
You don't realise that you have this amazing advantage that other folk just didn't have.
I've managed to kind of come into the tradition in a way that I've just learnt whatever taken my fancy, and I've been playing catch up. But I was in about my Burns book and I was just kind of looking through for wives that he'd been speaking about, and there was a mention of Buckie, and ended up confirming that it's about a barmaid for Buckie. She had her pub on the shores of Buckie. She was off a bonny and she was off a welcoming, and she poured a good pint and how everybody that was like up the brae, so Thorny Bank is just up for Dry Brig, so you're kind of up the hill a bit off the shore. When the loons came down for Thorny Bank, that was the first place they went, because that's fa they wanted to pour their pint. She was lovely, apparently. Lady Onley, her name was. Lady Onley, honest, lucky, brews good ale at shore o' Buckie. I wish her sail for good ale, the best in all the shore o' Buckie. When all the lads of Thorny Bank, when they get to the shore o' Buckie, they'll step in and take a pint with Lady Onley, honest, lucky. Lady Onley, honest, lucky, brews good ale at shore o' Buckie. I wish her sail for good ale, the best in all the shore o' Buckie. Her hoosey bean, her curtsy clean, I wit she is a dainty chuckie, and cheery blinks the ingle gleed wi' Lady Onley, honest, lucky. Lady Onley, honest, lucky, brews good ale at shore o' Buckie. I wish her sail for good ale, the best in all the shore o' Buckie.
Christy, with a sang for the northeast and the shores of the Moray Firth, but her niece sangster, Robyn Stapleton, comes for a whaur doon in the deep southwest. Here she is, reading a poem about her hame toon of Stranraer by Derek Ross, and singing yen of her part of Scotland's best lewd songs.
Wha but lose the bonny hills, wha but lose the shining rills, aye for me my bosom fills. Bonny Gallowa, land o' darkly rolling dee, land o' silvery winding cree, kissed by Solway's foamy sea. Bonny Gallowa.
We never said Gallowa in a' the first years. We never grew a rowan tree, nor dreamt o' kings. nor fought our enemies the way the old ballad said we should hae. Our world was Dunby Road, just that, nae mair. We cared nocht for old songs nor histories, we belonged. But when it came round to it, we left in droves, driven by realities. So the nicht, I find mysel walking down Portroddy, with rain falling in torrents, keeping warm the way exiles always do, with mindings of some lost time-silvered tune, while down on the tide line the moon's reflection dances amongst the last waves of the day. And that's called Dunby Road. I think it's quite nostalgic, but at the same time the town's gone through so many tough changes in quite recent years, so I find that quite relevant.
I think he's referring in the poem to songs like Bonnie Gallowa or the Gallowa Hills.
That's exactly, yeah.
And are they songs that you kent growing up?
Yeah, I would have heard them sung and then relearned them, I suppose, when I was studying Scots song.
Could you give me a verse of them?
Yeah, it's the Gallowa Hills.
Why?
Oh, the Gallowa Hills are covered wi' broom, wi' heather bells in bonny bloom, wi' heather bells and the rivers and we'll gang out o'er the hills to Gallowa.
He and yin are the broest singing and speaking voices in Scotland. You'd lose that Robyn wouldn't be blate speaking her mother tongue, but like money folk, she's sweet to use in a formal setting, a lead that she associates with him.
I find it much easier to speak in Scots if I'm at home. But my stepfather, Colin, he's a very broad Scots speaker, and I love being around that. I love hearing that.
Do you think being around Scots speakers helps you when you approach the songs?
Oh, definitely. I can't really imagine singing in Scots if I didn't have that connection. It comes very naturally to me to sing in Scots, and it's probably for me the most natural language because it's the language that was around me when I was growing up. I'm able to express that through song. There's a song called The Packman. I heard it and learnt it from a friend of my mum's, and it's all about this young fella that leaves Gallowa, goes down to the north of England as a sort of door-to-door salesman, and he's turned away for every door, so he says, I never should have left Gallowa, bonny Gallowa.
How does it go, the song?
Now, are you young lads who may gone to the park? Fian that's been there, this advice you may tak. We heard in our pluin, though pairer your fa, you'll find mere contentment in wild Gallowa. Tra-la-lee, tra-la-la, you'll find mere contentment in wild Gallowa.
Although you're fae a tune, that Gallowa Irish accent just suggests the country to me. Therefore, it just seems to go with our kind of songs.
Yeah.
And there's one that you sing, The Lads That Were Reared Among Heather, which I just think is perfect for you and your accent and your voice.
Oh. The essence of the song is kind of like you describe it, celebrating the rural life and the lads that were reared among heather, never mind the city and the town lads. I liked it. It's a lovely uplifting song.
Can you speak some of the words of it rather than sing it?
Yeah. Come on, you young lassies, a whar hae you been? Oh, come on, you young lassies, a whar hae you been? Say Druthy and Sleepy.
Sleepy.
I can tell by your
een.
Oh, come on, you young lassies, a whar hae you been? Say Druthy and Sleepy, I can tell by your een. In a' this wide world, I ne'er had a friend like the lads that were reared among heather. Gie awa wi your silks, your satins and shaws, your soirees and perties and your elegant bars, for a dance in the barn is worth 10 in the ha's, with the lads that were reared among heather.
Bro. See, you did it.
And I found myself sometimes off the cuff saying to an audience, would you sing this with me? This is the lyrics. And then I go, and I make an absolute fool of myself because I can't actually say the words of the chorus. There's only 4 words to it. It goes, and then I can't. So I must just practice that.
New England can boast of the sweet-scented rose, and Ireland is proud of the shamrock she flows. But really the land where the clear water flows at the mountains high covered with heather. We are Huawei yourselves, your satins and shawls, your soirees and berties and your elegant balls. For a dance in the bar is worth 10 in the house, with the lads that were reared among heather.
There's a story that ging something like I was up the glen, and the glen, the Noor family was Glenesque, you know, the sort of 5 finger o' Angus glens. And knee deep in heather, singing a song, cried the lads that were reared among heather.
Steve Byrne, singer with the folk born Malinky, with an early musical memory of a song made popular by the Corries. Like John Morran with Muirkirk, Steve collects local songs o' Angus, and a sangster we both kent, the late Jim Reid of Dundee, was yin with his inspirations.
Jim was a huge influence on me and a few other singers faring about Angus, Perthshire way, and of course he had put music to songs by Violet Jacob and Helen Cruikshank. Opened up a hill world for me in the same way that it had been opened up for Jim when I think he got a book for an old lady sometime he was working for, and she'd give him a book of songs at Angus for Violet Jacob. And same for myself, I was about 16 and my 6th year studies English dissertation was on the women poets of Angus, that triumvirate of Helen Cruikshank, Marion Angus and Violet Jacob. I can't mind exactly what collection this is for, but it's a ditty that she cried, Hug Me Nae, and I put a tune to it which ended up being a wee bit like the Lord of the Dance. Oh, it's fine when the new and the old year meet and the lads gang run in the lichted street. There's me and there's Alec in the miller's loon and Johnny that's the piper out of Fortune. Johnny fa, with the chanter lad and geese a blaw. For we'll step to the tune, though we'll fit until the shun, though the billies and the provost beat the sort of saw. That scene of hers, and she just had, as well as these big lyrical songs, she had this great insight, despite being somebody for the landed gentry, not just to the way of folk they're working and their kind of couthy, pocky nature, but the dialect as well, the Angus dialect. She had a great touch for that, and it's evoked both in kind of pathos with the landscape, but also humour for the local folk. I made this album when I was in my mid-20s, and it was really the culmination of a process that I'd gone through for that sort of age of doing my 6th year studies thing to finding my own voice as to far I come fae and the way I speak and the way my family speak, and it was kind of like putting on old comfortable clays, you can.
Tell me about some of the other songs, be that background.
Well, my great grandfather was a lemonade manny, my granny would have called him. He had a factory up in Montrose, and it turns out that he basically paid just around the corner from Baltic Street. I still can't sing it to this day all the way through, and I've never managed to record it yet, but it's one of the things that I've got on my bucket list to try and get through. I find the language in it so rich, especially the last bit. Bald-hearted, strong, neve, bred and born, in this auld tuna mine. And the minute that this auld tuna mine comes into my voice, and I just get this picture of my late grandmother, and it sends me. And the tune's no by Jim Reid this time, by Carol Pryor. And I've heard her man sing it, and every time he sings it, it does bring me to tears. It's
right.
Fantastic.
Could you give me one verse? And we could have a greeting break.
Aye.
But honestly, I don't want you to burst your green. Just give me the opening verse, just for the flavour of it.
My dainty lass, lay you the blame upon the right fu' heed. 'Twas daft ill luck that begged your hame the wrong side o' the Tweed. Ye hae your tochara complete, you're bonny as the rose, but I was born in Baltic Street, Montrose. I feel at home, quite literally, singing things like that. There's a visceral aspect to it that is hard to describe, but it's just something that sits in my voice, and certain songs, it just does it for me.
Makes you belong.
Aye.
Steve Byrne. I hope you'll join me to hear more bonny sangsters in the second programme. But for now, I'll leave with Steve and yin of the brost Scots songs of all time.
The Wild Geese would be, for me, a kind of personal anthem. It's been sung at occasions in the family, happy and sad, and it's one of these songs that stuck with me the whole time, to the point where it took me about 20 years to actually put it down on record. But I felt on the last Malinky record that it was about time. That whole dialogue between the Northern wind and the exile being a wha fae hame, you can sing that any place. But I thought it was maybe time that I put a bit of a marker down. I can more or less sing it in my sleep. And the cinematic view that's in my head as I sing it. You can up the Firth of Forth and the Angus Braes and the skein of the geese. It appeals to me just because I'm aware of the migration of the geese biding here in East Lothian, as we do know. The geese come over here for Aberlady down to Falladam, and it's a marker in the year that as I get older I find the kind of things often poignant as well as uplifting. I didn't think that I've heard many other combinations of lyric and melody that just sound like they were made for one another.
That was Jim's gift. Jim asked me to write the foreword to his book, Better O' Sang, and I said there that I thought Wild Geese was arguably the greatest Scottish sang of the 20th century because of the blender, the words of Isla Jacob and the tune that Jim had picked here. I just think it's magnificent.
Aye, and I never ever tire of singing it. It's usually the first song that if folk ask me to sing something that I would sing, and it would be appreciated because folk understand the meaning of the song to me as well as the melding of the twa, the melody and the lyric. That is just aye.
And far above the Angus straths I saw the wild geese flee, a lang, lang skein o' beaten wings, their heats towards the sea. And I their crying voices trailed, I hent them on the air. Oh, when te mercy had ya wished, for I darna listen and far above the Angus straths I saw the wild geese flee, a lang, lang skein o' beaten wings, their heats towards the sea. And I their crying voices trail, I hent them on the air. When te mercy had ya wished, for I darna listen.